to assemble our slab vase. These are my leather hard pieces I'm going to assemble, and then I am going to I'm going to then wrap it up, and the next thing I'll do is refine and then glaze and then sgraffito, so you get the process. The things I need is a small chunk of clay for my coils, my slip, check your slip, make sure it's still in good condition. You might have to rehydrate, mine's still pretty good. My scoring tool, I have both the scoring tool, the wire one that came with the kit, and a needle tool. My slabs are a little hard, and this may or may not make good marks in my piece. And now I have my surface is all cleaned off. My oven sings to me. Just means it's preheated. Okay, so I'm uncovering these. I realize there's too small and too big. And I have the base. I want the best sides to be on the outside, so like this side doesn't have any bunks on it and that one does, so I'm going to put that up. So basically this is going to get assembled like this, and then there'll be two shorter ones, right, that go over, and then one over here. And don't worry if they don't meet up perfectly, like this one is not meeting up perfectly with this one. I might have just cut them wrong. Which I obviously did because they don't meet up. I could trim them now before I assemble, and I might. That's odd. I wonder if I made a mistake. No, this one's right. Okay, wait, hold on. Before I cut anything, these ones are right. This one is off. I don't know why. I'm gonna set that one aside. That was a mistake. These are right. I'm not cutting anything. Everything's perfect. Okay. So, you know, you're going to have two bigger ones where the edges of this will attach here. Okay? So, on those bigger ones, you're going to score along the side of the piece. Right? And I want some deep scoring. This is kind of wimpy scoring because my clay is a little a little stiffer. So I'm gonna come in and just score with a needle tool. I need it to be kind of aggressively scored. So I'll use both. See how I'm making more hash marks that are a little bit deeper. I'll get you a closer view. I like a little bit deeper. And then I'm going to do the bottom. So the bottom of each of these will get done. So first I'm using this score tool, and then I'm using my needle tool because I want it to be a little more aggressive. Okay, I'm going to pre-score because that's how I roll. And the sides of these bigger ones, like this along the edge, will be scored, and then the bottom of every piece, and then all the way around the square bottoms here. So, oops, really kind of aggressively score. What scoring does is it opens up the clay body, or the stiffer clay, to accept water and slip, or not exactly water, but wet clay. And then on the other side, it does the same thing. And then when you push them together with a little force, they kind of knit together, and they're wet, and then they dry together and become strong. So it's important that you get enough scoring in here to prevent cracking from happening, so that the two edges marry each other. So I'm doing both the scoring, and it doesn't take that long. If you're just careful about it and I like to do it all at once. Like I'm doing like a assembly line. Some people score in both ways. Some people score in all one way. There's like a lot of theories about like, oh, this makes it knit together best. But really what it is just opening up that clay to absorb moisture so the other pieces absorb moisture. So these smaller ones, they're still going to be scored on the bottom, but they're going to be scored on the edge because the edge will go here. So I'll score on all three edges. Left side, bottom, right side. They also make scoring ribs, but that's what I usually use in my own studio that has like a serrated edge. I like it best. But they're, again, like ceramics, everything you add to your toolkit is more expensive. You can use a fork. Fork works really good. But you have to be a little more careful with the fork, with the tiles, or the slabs, or you'll break your slab. You don't want to break your slab. Making sure to score all the way to the top and the bottom. The places where it cracks are right around the top of the slab when you construct a piece like this. So just make sure you're scoring all the way from the top to the bottom. Nice and consistent. I mean, it's 5 minutes worth of work. And it'll make all the difference. Okay, now, here we go. Assemblage time. So I'm going to get my two opposites. I'm going to spread some slip and I'm going to do a corner like this. So the first thing I need to do is apply slip. Just apply slip to the bottom of this piece. And the bottom of this area here. I'm going to apply slip to this side here. Okay, and then quickly apply slip to this side here, the bottom side, and then one edge. Making sure I don't neglect the top. Again, the top area is where most cracks will happen. So I take extra attention to make sure it's all the way to the top and really kind of mushed in there. So now, get off there, little boogers. Okay, now I'm going to assemble. Oops, I forgot to put slip here. Where'd I put it? Right along the bottom here. And I'm doing two sides at once because by instead of doing one and then like trying to do the other, these two will hold each other up, right? So I do a corner to like have each other to brace, and that way just works a little better. So I'm going to assemble this one edge to edge and then put this one to match. So I'm sort of putting it in like this, and I'm lining up the corners, and I'm going to use firm pressure all along that joint, both joints. So I don't know if you can see, I'm really pushing them together with my fingers. I want them to marry. I also push down. So that it marries really well on that edge. This needs to come out a little bit. And I make sure that the edge lines up from the outside, and I should be able to see that it's right along the edge of my slab. Again, just going through and pushing that edge in. I run my finger along it and really push it in. And amazingly, it sticks. Now, I do have to add a coil here and here, and it's easier to do that when this piece is open, then add those two, and then do the coils from the inside of the last two. So I'm going to do that right now. Just take my coil, or a little extra clay. I roll a coil, not a very big one, about thinner than the thickness of the needle tool, the handle part, but not too thin. So about like that. And I use that on the inside here, up to the edge. Right, I don't go all the way to the edge. I go to this, you see. I don't go all the way to the edge. I go to where the score mark is so that I leave room for the next slab. Okay, then I'm going to use the back of my fingernail and kind of smoosh that in. Really smooth it. This coil is it's not really attaching, but it seals it. It makes it so that it's stronger. I guess I had better light. It just is not very light, and I'm trying to... Let me see if I turn on another light, because there's like a shadow when I work inside the box, and you're not... I don't know if that helps. No. Let me get my phone and I'll turn on the flashlight. Can you see now? Okay. Try to rest the word. Smarter than I look. I can figure this out. There, that's a little better. Okay, so now I'm gonna just, oh, now I can see everything. So I really want to smooth this in. I like to use the back of my fingernail. Notice that I'm supporting the outside while I'm doing it. There's wooden tools in your kit that have like a rounded edge that work really well for this. If you don't like using your hands and your fingernails, but that's how I prefer my hands. Okay, now the coil that goes up here needs to happen, and then I will add these two pieces, and then maybe a little reinforcing coil on the outside seam of the whole box, and then I will let it sit. I'll keep it covered It needs to stay covered for this whole process. Even when we apply the glaze, it will get wet again, and we will, once we've applied the glaze and the surface is dry to the touch, we'll still keep it covered because we'll need to sgraffito it when it's still in leather hard stage. So I just measure this by laying it in there, cut it with my finger, and now I'm going to push this into the joint and mold it to fit. Notice how this hand is on the outside supporting when I work, okay? Trying to do that and not hit the light, but use it's tricky. Okay. So I got a nice coil in there, nice and smooth. Depending on what you use this for, you're going to see the inside, so you might spend some extra time refining it to make it smooth. Better craftsmanship is always a good thing. Okay. Now I'm going to apply the slip to this area and then my slabs, and then do the same thing to the other side. But there'll be 2 extra joints this time, right? So get ready. Lots of joints here. To the side, and I'm just using that scoring tool to apply the slip, making sure I get a nice goob at the top. Nice goober at the top. Those are always the parts that want to crack the fastest. So now I'm going to do this one, and you could do one at a time now. Once you've got these up, these next ones work really well. Just make sure you do big across from big, and small across from small. So this is my big one. This will be the big one over here. I'm going to add slip here to the side. I'm adding it to the wrong side. Well, I mean, not really, because it'll need slip there, but whatever. I'm not adding it to the side that I'm going to assemble first. It's okay. I'm going to add it to everywhere, and then it's fine. Sometimes we make mistakes. It's a minor mistake. Just means I might get some slip on my hand while I work. Making sure that slip kind of gets into those grooves. The more it kind of gets into the grooves and marries with the clay, the better your joint becomes. And notice how my clay is nice and stiff. Like, it's not bending. It's still wet. It's just, it's nice and leather hard. So I'm going to put this on here. I'm going to line it up with the base. I'm going to line it up with this corner. I come in and I use some pressure to make sure it's perfectly lined up, and you can see I'm really just gonna push. I'm pushing these joints together so that you know, you could even like make this come in if you got really excited about working with slabs. There's a lot of things you can do, but we're gonna keep it simple first time. Okay, and then I'm gonna push down at the bottom and make sure that's along the edge there. Okay, making sure, give it. Gonna roll my coil. Add my coil, add my coil here on the inside and then up here, and then the last piece. The last piece is the trickiest because because you have to get your hand all the way in to do the coil. It's not impossible. Just a little trickier. Okay. Now I need one more coil to go up the side here, so I'm going to roll a nicer, longer one. Notice this side doesn't match perfectly. It's okay. I'm going to, when I do all my refining, I will sand it with the metal screen until the top is level and the edge looks perfect. The top edge looks perfect. It's not a bad idea though to add a little extra coil up here to these corners and just smooth in. It's not a bad idea at all. Okay, Lily, I hear that you want to go outside, but can you wait a second? That's my dog. Lily, can you wait till I get the next piece in? Lily. Sorry, dog can't wait. Booger. All right. Okay. Get this coil in. You can even lay it on the side if you need to. As long as you're supporting the outside where you're pushing. Right, this makes attaching the coil a little bit easier. Last piece will go in here, then coil. Then I'm going to add a little coils to the outside, just where I need it, but very small coils. Not as thick as the ones I did on the inside. Keeping your workspace clean is helpful. Not my strong suit. Slip in this area. Aggressive there. Remember, those top corners are the crack areas, so I might get them in there. I just need to do this side here. I did the bottom and that side there when I was before. So I just need to slip this last side. gently right in there. Line it up, give it some pressure. Under pressure. Firm pressing to attach these areas, especially up here at the top. Firm assemblage. And you got it. So coil here and then smaller coils out here. So you would just put your hand in there. I'm not gonna do that on video because the video is getting kind of long and you can figure that out. But I will show you how I do the outside coil. And I am gonna do inside coils. It's not like I'm not, it's just that I'm not gonna do it while you're watching. So I just make a very small coil, and anywhere I have a gap on the outside, I add it in, right? This is a good place where you can take your metal rib and smooth that side instead of your finger. So where I'm using my finger, and did you see I licked it? I don't care. If I had a little water, there's a little water there. I could just help myself smooth it. Not anything, no introducing water other than like on your fingertip, right? At this point it would help make it melt. So down here, like I'm gonna add just a teeny bit of clay to where that joint is. Push it in and smooth, right? The more uneven surface I introduce to the outside, the more sanding I have to do. But I just need to get it right along that joint so that all those joints are sealed on both the inside and the outside. Right? So I just go through and do that. Supporting it on the inside. Again, a rib would help. I like to use my fingers, but you could use a tool, especially if you have fingernails like longer than these. Okay, so once I've finished all my coils around all the joints inside and out, then it's time to wrap it up again. And it's very important to wrap it up good. And the plastic has to touch all of it. So I'm going to open this up, right? I'm going to lay this down in it, and I'm going to make sure all the plastic is touching a side of it, and there's no air or clay wrapped on it. I might even put a piece of harder clay in there to hold it tight. And the next time I'm going to refine it and start glazing it. Okay? So that's where you need to be to at the end of the first work session. You have to get all the way to this point where all the coils are done. So I have to immediately unwrap this and do this. If you try to do this and do it only halfway, you're going to ruin your piece. So you have to completely assemble it and add all the coils and make sure it's assembled and sealed properly before you stop. Okay? That took me, it'll probably take me about an hour, so it might take you about 2 or an hour and a half. So make sure you carve out enough time to do it all. Okay. Hope you have fun.